the X-Rated Motorsports Garage. We're out here with Annabelle. We had a pretty good race season in the car. It had its ups and downs, obviously. It's what you'd expect, I guess, from a car on its first season. However, the season is pretty well ended. We're going to be starting our list of winter projects, which is going to be including intake carburetor change. We're going to be relocating the fuel cell so we can make room for the nitrous system. We're going to be lowering the car so we can get a better suspension geometry. And yeah, we got a whole list of projects we're going to be doing. We'll be covering those in the videos. But today, we're going to be putting some door pins in the hinges, because if you have any 70s model GM, you know the doors are heavy and it pretty much wears out the door pins. So let me flip you around here and I'll show you why we're doing that. Okay, you can see that I pretty well already started on disassembling the car. Obviously the driver's front fender is missing. We'll explain to you why I'm going to be doing that. So pretty much what we have here is the driver's side was actually worse, but I decided to film the passenger side since there's a little more room here. You can see the door does not quite line up here. Here's your edge for this one, here's the edge for the body line. Obviously the door will shut, but it doesn't, it definitely bumps here on the hinge. We could adjust the hinge, or the latch I guess, and get it to work better, but we're going to be replacing some weather stripping, things of that nature anyways. So we're going to be replacing the door pins. The pins themselves are not actually the problem, it's the actual bushings here. You're probably not going to have enough light to actually see what we're dealing with right now. But basically in here, you have some bushings. Over time, they break, and this allows the door pin to get sloppy. Obviously you can see here, the door lifts up and down. Does it need to be fixed? Probably not. I mean, it's not like anything that's a big concern. But again, I'll be replacing the weather stripping. I might as well make the car right. It is a race car, but you know, after so many times of slamming the door, it gets a little old. So we're going to be replacing that. And I'm going to take you along as we remove the fender and get the doors off the car, or get the door off the car, and then I'll get better in detail on what I'm doing with the bushings. Now, this is not really a how-to, it's just how I'm going to do it. You may want to do it a different way. You may leave parts on the car, I'm not really sure, but we're going to be realigning everything anyways, so stay tuned and we'll get the video going, or we'll get going here on taking the body parts off. Alright guys, so we got the fender off. There was a little bit of fighting with it, as it did have some rusted bolts. You know, what are you going to do? Old cars. But you can see that we got the front end off the car. I actually took the front end off the car to make it a little easier with some of the bolts that were stuck, was fighting me on the fender. Obviously we already got the fender off. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the actual door hinge spring. It's actually a pretty simple process. Basically what you need is a tool like this. You can buy these at any parts store. It's not anything special. It's like a $10 tool or whatever, but it will make your life a lot easier. The spring comes open on you. It's definitely a pain to get back in there. So I would suggest buying this cheap little tool. It's pretty simple. I'll show you here. You're going to just shove it in the spring, tighten it down, and it collapses the spring. So let's move on to that. Okay, so here's the spring right here. You see this is pretty well, this is what holds the door, or helps the door from flying open. This is pretty simple, like I said. Literally you take this tool, shove it up into there, and then you tighten your bolt down. You may want to hold it in place till you get it started. As you tighten it down, the spring will collapse. And you'll see, once we get the spring collapsed, it comes right back, comes right out. And you just leave that in there until you're ready to put it back on. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So the next step here we're gonna make, and I won't bore you with all the details, pretty simple. We're gonna remove these here 3 bolts, top and bottom, so 6 total. And then we're gonna get the door up off the car. There's a couple different ways you could do this. You could have your friends come over, give you a hand, lift the door off, or you can find a way to suspend it. I'm by myself here, so I'm going to use an engine hoist cherry picker and put straps on it to help support the door while I take the bolts off. Once you get the bolts off, then we'll get the door off, and then we'll move on to the hinges. Okay guys, you can see where we're at here. We got a mess here. The door is off of the car. This is where our hinges would be. We got the door over here on this table. I'm gonna bring you back here to the workbench so I can show you what we was talking about. So down here, you'll see there is a bushing, and it has this play in it. And you can see the bushing is pretty well shot. I mean, that's a lot of play in it. Fortunately, it looks like the bottom hinge was not so bad. Didn't have as much movement in it at all. Let me get it open here. It's got a little play, nothing crazy. So we're gonna be putting in a new set, pins. The kit will come with serrated bushings and the brass bushings. From the factory, they come with these really cool divots in them, so the pin does not just drive right out. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a cutoff wheel, cut this as flush as possible on both of them. You can definitely see it on here. But we're going to cut ends of it off, then we'll take a hammer and punch, and we'll knock the bottoms out. And then at that point, we'll be able to put the new bushings in and drive the new pins into it, and we'll have ourselves we'll have our hinges fixed where there's none of this nonsense here. So here we go. Okay, here is the hinges. You can see we got the new pins in it. They just get driven in there. They basically, like a lug stud, they hammer in and press into a serrated spot into the metal of the hinge itself. So it puts our new door pins in. These are the bushings that actually came out. You can see that there's really nothing left to it. It's pretty well worn out. This one is pretty well broke completely. There wasn't much left on it. But either way, you can see we have no play up in here, really. If any, maybe very minute. Nothing like we had before. So this will be where we'll be stopping on there. We're going to get these here hinges painted up to match the car instead of brown as the original car was. But we'll get these painted. We're also going to be getting this here underneath the door and fender area. We'll get it sanded down and get it painted red. Try to make it look a little better. And then the door, like I said, is over here on the table. We won't be putting it back on today. We're going to be, actually, you're going to be cutting out this whole section here. And then we're going to remove the crash bar that you can see is located in here. Now, this is not something I would suggest on a street car, but this is a race car, so we do look for ways to lighten up the weight. And this will save us quite a bit of weight. Okay, so that'll pretty well wrap up the door pin project. And I'll just leave the video at that because it's not going to be going on anytime soon. I'm going to be posting photos of the paint projects. You could see those on Facebook or Instagram. I'll post the links below where you can follow us on those. It's X-Rated Motorsports on either one, but I'll post the links below. I'll post a short video on the removal of the crash bar and the door and the fun that goes into that, and then we'll probably get the door painted. And then other than that, I'll be waiting on some weather stripping to show up, and then that'll complete everything with the doors. And then, like I said, we have a whole list of projects going on. Make sure you give us a like. Hopefully you subscribe. If you want to leave a comment and let us know what you'd like to see more of or less of, we greatly appreciate it. So we'll see you guys next time.